of Dubbo Regional Council. I advise this meeting is being streamed live to the internet. All those present should refrain from making any defamatory statements, and upon joining these online meetings you accept the condition that your image may be recorded and streamed to the internet, as well as being retained in the archive of the recorded council meetings and standing committee meetings. I now open the August 2024 Ordinary Council meeting, the time being 5:30 p.m. Could I start with the prayer, please, Councillor Etheridge?
O God, grant that by the knowledge of thy will, all we may resolve shall work together for good. We pray through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Councillor Etheridge. Can I have acknowledgement of country, please, Councillor Wells?
Thank you. I would like to acknowledge the Wiradjuri people who are the traditional custodians of the land. I would also like to pay respects to the elders past, present and emerging of the Wiradjuri Nation, and extend that respect to other Aboriginal peoples from other nations who are present. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wells. Item CCL 24/187, leave of absence. I've got apologies from Councillors Burns and Mann, and just note that Councillor Wright is coming in by video conference. Can I have someone move the apologies for Councillor Burns? Thank you, Councillor Showery, seconded by Councillor Etheridge. Any discussion or debate? There being none, I put that. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. Sorry, and I will be a bit slower tonight, councillors, just to make sure. Obviously, there's a slight lag there when someone's coming in via video conference. CCL 24/188, conflicts of interest. Councillor Black.
Thank you. I declare a pecuniary interest in item, I didn't write down the number. CCL 24/204, the 20L Rocky Road Dubbo results of public exhibition, because I own a farming block on the corner of Warrie Road and Old Dubbo Road, which is close to the subject block. In that case, I will leave the room while the debate is on. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Black. Councillor Showery.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will declare CCL 24/213 non-pecuniary less than significant. There was a community benefit fund, and I was part of the Oriscon group, but I'm no longer with the committee, so I'll be staying in the room. And I have another one, CCL 24/214, Community Services Fund. I was part of, sorry, I think I just mixed up. The first one is 214, and other one is 213. That is Event Assistant Program. I know a couple of community-based groups in that they got the grant, but I'm not. I've been participating in their event, but I'm not in their committee or anything. Thank you, and I'm staying in the room.
Thank you, Councillor Showery. Any further conflicts of interest, councillors? No, there being none, I move on to the next item, CCL 24/189. At this stage, I've got one registered speaker. I'll just go through the rules first. I've got Brett Anderson registered, and then I will have an opportunity for any other speakers after that. Just to run through the rules again for anyone that wishes to speak, there's 5 minutes allocated to public forum for each speaker. At 4 minutes 30, I've got a bell, and I'll do a single ring. And then at 5 minutes, I'll ring that bell repeatedly and the microphone will be switched off and the person will be asked to stop. Again, make sure you're not making defamatory remarks, not defaming any councillors, any staff, anyone in the community, because again, we're not as if we're in Parliament, we don't have parliamentary privilege. And again, put your points forward in relation to council. So, Mr. Anderson, if you'd like to come forward, you're the first registered speaker there. Oh, yeah, thank you.
Asked to have my speech handed out around to everyone. I don't know if that's happened at all. Thank you for the opportunity to speak about our development application before the council tonight. This is DA number D23628 and listed as CL 24/203 in the report for consideration. My name is Brett Anderson and I'm the chairman and CEO of the applicant, Northwest Precinct Community Proprietary Limited. I lead a team of Australia's leading consultants, designers and advisors who are heavily invested and passionate about the delivery of a nation-leading master plan village within a city. This will be located in the Northwest Precinct of Dubbo, just a stone throw from our CBD. It is truly a unique project that I feel privileged and honoured to lead. Our purpose is to deliver a happy, successful, inclusive community, a great life for all. Our values are win-win, integrity, fun, imagination, inspiration, courage and teamwork. We are ethical and our actions are always aligned with our values. Triple bottom line accounting and business practices are embedded in our culture. Consideration to the environment, our community and economics are undertaken before any plans are made. This is essential for any project to be truly sustainable. We have met and listened to many stakeholders within and outside our local community and have adopted well best practice for the implementation of the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals. We asked that people wanted, we assessed the needs and then delivered what is considered by many to be our nation's leading regional master planned urban area. This has been adopted by yourselves, approved by different government agencies and embedded in our city's planning instruments, and it is now an adopted policy. The project has great social licence, widespread community and political support. So much so that when our development application was lodged in early December 2023, not a single objection was raised or submission made from the public. We put this down to the enormous amount of community consultation and engagement during the master planning process and providing something that is industry best and desired. After many discussions with stakeholders and in particular the traditional owners, we have decided to name the master plan development Gunya. This translates to home in English from the traditional dialect. It was the final suggestion from the Tubbergar people after they deliberated for around 6 months, and we really love it. In due course, it will be submitted for regulatory approvals. We listened intently to our neighbours and have planned and staged our development to minimise and mitigate their concerns. As I mentioned during my previous address to Council, there are 4 generations of our family that live and actively participate in many facets of our city. We would never knowingly do something that we did not believe wholeheartedly improves our community. Sorry. The project is critical in providing alternate housing stock into the market. This will provide choice and alternatives to house all residents, both existing and new in our city. It is critical to address the housing that is going to be required to allow the development of the renewable energy zone, development of planned major infrastructure and mining projects, safely house the people vulnerable to homelessness and accommodate the key workers that are critical to the long-term prosperity. Basically, it will help alleviate housing stress. The delivery timeframes for the completed precinct project will be in the order of 20 years. Every business day that the project is delayed equates to $800,000 that is not directly circulating in our local economy. Now that's a really important thing, and that doesn't take into account the amount of money, other beneficial, intangible economic benefits and multipliers such as business growth from increased workforce, increased prosperity from housing certainty, population growth and increased spending. The population critical mass for a regional city in Australia is 50,000 people. Once that is reached, history shows that regional cities will become even more self-sufficient, diversified and resilient. This is a key aim of our work, sustainable population growth in the right location and responding to its environment. 5 months after lodging our development application, a request for information for many components of our application was made by Council. This is after almost 2 years of heavy stakeholder and consultation developing the Development Control Master Plan, which our application adheres to. We subsequently met with our Mayor and CEO to discuss this. Both were quick to provide guidance on a path forward. Following this, it has been a fantastic working really hard with Council staff to resolve as best we could all the issues raised. Even though we do not agree on everything, both parties have what we believe is the community's best interest at heart. In particular, I would like to thank our Mayor Matthew, our CEO Murray, and their team for helping get the application to the point where it is placed before you now for your consideration tonight. I would strongly urge you to adopt the recommendations and approve the development application. This will embed the master plan and vision as we and the wider community all wish. Approval will ensure...
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Sorry, Mr. Anderson, that's the end of your 5 minutes. We have a hard limit of 5 minutes for everyone. Thank you for your presentation. I'll now say there's no further registered speakers for public forum. Are there any other members of the public that wish to come forward and deliver 5 minutes to Council? No, thank you. We'll move on to the next item. CCL 24/190, confirmation of minutes. Have someone move that way, please. Thank you, Councillor Showery, seconded by Councillor Wells. Discussion or debate, councillors? There being none, I put that. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. Next item, CCL 24/191, a fluoride update presentation. And we've got Mr. Godfrey coming forward to give us an update, a 5-minute update on the fluoride situation at the moment. So I don't need any movers from council, just really an update. So Mr. Godfrey, over to you. Are you doing something up on here?
I am, Mr.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to present this evening on the fluoride upgrade at the John Gilbert Water Treatment Plant in Dubbo. Dubbo's had a active water supply for well over a century, having actually first drawn water at the intersections of Brisbane Street and Tamworth Street as far back as 1890. In 1940, the first water treatment plant was established at the site which is now the John Gilbert Water Treatment Plant on Macquarie Street. And in 1981, the actual John Gilbert Treatment Plant, the first iteration of that plant, was built. And at that time, fluoride was introduced to the system. The system originally utilised by the facility was actually a powder-based sodium fluorosilicate system. When the plant was upgraded in 2005 to a capacity of 80 megalitres per day, Council installed a liquid-based fluorosilicic acid solution. Now, this system was subsequently shut down in 2019, and that shutdown was a decision based on the fact that the existing system was leaking and no longer met relevant Australian standards. Now we are delivering the new fluoride dosing system with the tender awarded to TWS Evolution in mid-April 2023. Interestingly, we're actually going back to the future with the design in that we are using the powder-based sodium fluorosilicate system again, albeit the size of the facility will be substantially larger than that of which existed in the past. The system will utilise large 1-tonne bags of the chemical, and it'll be dosed in with a relevant dosing system. So I've got an image here of the actual facility which we were building. This is approximately a building of 100 square metres. Now, it's no Guggenheim Museum, but it is a large reinforced concrete structure with a steel roof. It is a very sturdy building. It's quite dust proof. And it's quite a large facility as well. As can be seen here, there's a personal access door shown on the front there. So the facility is over 6 metres in height. So it's not a simple project by way of replacement of some infrastructure in an existing shed. It's a complex build with multiple rooms and equipment being procured. Just a quick internal view of the facility. It has actually several rooms within it. Our staff have a single point of entry. And then there's also a showering room should there be any kind of chemical spill and a staff member needs to wash that chemical off themselves and their chemical suit. We have a large bulk dry room within the facility where multiple bags of fluoride powder will be stored, and also a gantry crane system to then move those bags into the relevant dosing facility shown towards the centre of the screen, just slightly to the right. The facility holds up to 5 tonnes of the chemical at any one time, with 4 tonnes in storage and 1 tonne actually in the system loaded and being utilised by the treatment plant. Some of the key features of this facility include positive air pressure systems for dust containment, and this is critical because exposure to fluoride dust it's an extremely toxic chemical when exposed in large doses to the lungs. The building is air conditioned. There is several dust extraction and wet scrubbing facilities provided within the building to ensure that if any dust is released and that dust, when it is collected by the dust extraction system, that air released to the open environment not contain any fluoride powder. So it's actually washed out before it's released to the open atmosphere outside. There's a laundry system in there, shower, toilet facilities for the operator, as I previously addressed. That laundry is going to be only for the washing of anything to do with the fluoride facility, and it'll be completely separate to everything else within the facility. As I've said before, there's a large gantry crane system in there to reduce the need for forklift movements and those kinds of access into the building. Loading of the actual fluoride powder into our dosing equipment will be done under vacuum. And again, such an arrangement will reduce the risk of dust escape within the facility. It will be a highly secure facility, having swipe card access for operators. And our intention is here that if an operator is not ticketed to utilise the fluoride dosing system, then they will not be permitted access to the building. The fluoride system, should there be a spillage or any kind of wash-off occur within the building, that fluoride cannot be discharged to either the environment via stormwater or the sewerage system, and instead it is collected in a wastewater tank system, specific and only utilised by that building, and licensed waste operators can collect out of that tank once it is full and take it away for processing and treatment. We've actually already had all the equipment manufactured. There's some pictures here. So from left to right, we've got the vacuum loading system. We've got a big switchboard there that's going in the building for the control gear. That small unit there is a dosing system, and we've got a large blower vacuum system. So parts are on order. We expect to break ground for the actual construction of the building in September this year. Having changed, our principal contractor actually changed the builder that they were utilising due to a few issues there. So there was some minor delays in that regard, and hence, yes, so a change of builder. There are some delays to this project, and they have come about due to the complex nature and layout of the John Gilbert facility. When dosing fluoride, it is imperative that the flow rate of fluoride dosed into the water system be between 1 milligram per litre and 1.05 milligrams per litre. The Australian drinking water guidelines allow for a maximum of 1.5 milligrams of fluoride per litre of water. So as you can see, well, as can be told, it's a very fine margin. Now, the John Gilbert treatment plant measures the rate of water coming out of the filters with a weir system currently. And through an iterative process, including engagement with subcontractor GHD, who is highly regarded in this field and who actually designed the original John Gilbert treatment plant back in the early 80s, it was determined that this flow metering system is no longer appropriate for the implementation of such a fluoride system that we're going to build now. It was a very iterative process that we went through. It was very detailed. It took quite a bit of time. And we determined in the end that it was not possible to use this weir. And this is where the delays to this project have come from. The little red circle on that plan on the screen there indicates a site where we've located, where we're going to install an electromagnetic flow meter instead. Now, this is a very large device and it needs to go into a very big pit in a very deep hole. And as can be seen, even if you're not familiar with reading engineering plans, but you would be, it's apparent looking at it that there is a lot going on. This is an aerial view of our treatment plant, and all those lines going everywhere are underground pipes and services, cables. So there are even more than what is shown on that plan that are not actually shown there. So the site is highly congested and it is very difficult to fit a piece of infrastructure such as this in the ground. However, we've now identified a site and we have procured the part to actually perform this measurement. But again, the part is custom made in Germany, and so it has a significant lead time associated with it. So that has now been ordered, and the project is progressing along accordingly. Just a picture on the right there actually shows that blue object there is actually what these flow meters look like. The one we're purchasing weighs around 1,000 kilos, and I think the pit that we're putting it in is a 3 metre by 3 metre by 3 metre deep pit. So as big as a small bedroom in a house, or even a reasonable sized bedroom in a house. So it's a substantial structure that we've got to build and try and fit in with all this existing infrastructure. So as I've alluded to previously, our target fluoride concentration ranged between 1 and 1.05 milligrams with a maximum of 1.5 allowable under drinking water guidelines. The John Gilbert treatment plant is also capable of treating anywhere between 25 to 80 megalitres of water on a given day. And the consumption of fluoride powder based on those rates is anywhere between 25 and 80 kilograms per day, assuming a dose rate of 1 milligram per litre. So interestingly, that gives us a supply, assuming we have 5 tonnes of the chemical on site, of anywhere between 62 and a half days, assuming 80 megalitres per day, which we never hit, or more around the order of 200 days. So there's a fair range. There's a significant amount of this fluoride that we'll be able to store in the facility. to ensure that we never run out. So our intention is once this facility is up and running, and as I've indicated at the bottom of my slideshow here, project completion end of January 2025 is now our target date. We should be able to, once operational, it shouldn't ever run out of fluoride with the amount that we're storing on site. That concludes.
Thank you, Mr. Godfrey. So does anyone have any questions for Mr. Godfrey they'd like to ask? Councillor Etheridge. Sorry, Councillor Etheridge, just microphone so Councillor Wright can hear.
Going on how much we'll use a day, or over a 60-day period with what we can keep on site, how's our supply going to be for backup? Are we going to be able to ring them and say, we need another 5 tonne or 6 tonne or something in a week? What are you going to do?
Thank you, Councillor Etheridge. Mr. Godfrey.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So, as advised, we can store anywhere between around 60 odd days up to 200. However, because the facility holds four pallets basically in backup of this powder,
Yeah.
and we have one in the system,
Yeah.
essentially, say you used 2 of those pallets, you'd have the space then to order 2 more. So, our operators will be proactive and order long before the chemical actually runs out.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
I'm sure they would. What my main concern was about the supply from the supplier. Will we
Yes.
be able to supply when we want to?
there's only a limited number of chemical suppliers for this kind of product.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And sometimes there can be delays associated with the delivery of the product. So yes, look, that's one of the reasons why the building is as large as it is, and it's to ensure that we have a big buffer.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Etheridge. Other questions, councillors? Councillor Ivey. And I will just remind that we are in a council meeting still, so we've got the normal protocol associated with a council meeting. Thank you, Councillor Ivey.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Mr. Godfrey. One thing that you said, I raised my eyebrows a little bit, was that this part, special part, had to be ordered and was being made in Germany. With our problems that we've had, some other things like water meters, does that mean that if we do have some sort of a problem with this, then we can't just go and buy a replacement off the shelf, and that we've got to go through this process of ordering the specialised part to be made in Germany?
Thank you, Councillor Ivey. Mr. Godfrey.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. The supply of these kinds of flow meters, Councillor Ivey, it's very specialised. We received several quotations, but the majority of suppliers, electrical suppliers, that for this kind of part do exist overseas in Europe. This part is not an off-the-shelf part, and they never are when they are this size. This is a 900mm diameter component. So as I said, it weighs nearly 1,000 kilos. And due to its cost, the device is worth nearly $40,000 just by itself. That's not installed. That's not anything. That's getting it shipped. They don't hold them on the shelves. So, yeah, you could hold one as a spare. The devices are actually quite reliable once they are installed. It's essentially just a coil of wire around a short length of pipe. There's not a great deal that can go wrong with it. But yes, they are not an off-the-shelf part, and we are limited by what's available. There are not many places that supply these devices. And look, our preference is always to source something like that locally, but in this instance, it was not possible.
Thank you, Mr. Godfrey. Further question, Councillor Ivey? No. Any further questions, councillors? No. Thank you, Mr. Godfrey. Okay, next item. So I'll wait till Mr. Ryan comes back here. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda, CCL 24/192, mayoral appointments and meetings. Have someone move that, please. Thank you, Councillor Wells, seconded by Councillor Chowdhury. Any discussion or debate, councillors? There being none, I put that. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. Next item, CCL 24/193, delivery program and operational plan, the final progress report. Have someone move that, please. Thank you, Councillor Black, seconded by Councillor Wells. Councillor Black, do you wish to speak to that? Any discussion or debate, councillors? No, I put that. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. CCL 24/194, investment under Section 625 of the Local Government Act. Someone move that. Thank you, Councillor Chowdhury, seconded by Councillor Etheridge. Any discussion or debate, councillors? There being none, I put that. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. CCL 24/195, monthly reporting snapshot for councillors. Have someone move that, please. Thank you, Councillor Black, seconded by Councillor Etheridge. Any discussion or debate? Being none, I put that. All those in favour? Against? sorry, I'll just do that again because I went a bit too fast with the lag there with Councillor Wright. I'll just say all those in favour? Against? Thank you. I declare that carried. Next item, CCL 24/196, Regional Express under voluntary administration, impacts on Dubbo Regional Airport. Can I have someone move that way, please? Thank you, Councillor Black. Seconded by Councillor Chowdhury. Councillor Black, you wish to speak to that?
Only very briefly to say this is a bit of a financial disaster for us. Over $600,000 there. That's a lot of money that could have been put into something else for the community. Thanks, Rex. And just a quick question. What sort of other liabilities do we have from airlines at the airport? Is there anything like this that millions behind sort of thing? Just indication, not a lot, heaps, whatever. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Black. I'm not sure we have that data available, but I'll ask the CEO to see if there's got that information at hand.
Yeah, I'll take that on notice, but typically Rex was consistent in letting things get to 90 days despite much interaction with council staff.
Yeah. Thank you. Any further, Councillor Chowdhury?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll just echo with Councillor Black, like it's a bit disaster, but I'll encourage to the community members to keep using Rex, and because they're gonna keep operating, so we need to show them bit support, so that way they will not lose another airlines from here. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Chowdhury. Good point. Councillor Wells.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's probably similar to what Councillor Chowdhury said. I'm just hoping that with this predicament that we're in, that there's an opportunity for Dubbo Regional Council to hopefully have some negotiations with other airports, other airlines, so that we are not disadvantaged by just having one provider travelling to all. As you know, Rex currently travels to other areas that Qantas doesn't go to, so that's really disappointing for us if we lose this service. And I know that the financial impact is a problem. However, also the other impact is that from here to Broken Hill, like you can only go on Rex. So just thinking about other supports if they're not available. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wells. And just as a matter of point, I have sent off letters to several other airlines. I won't go through all the names of those different companies to ask them about the potential if they want to look at servicing Dubbo. And other airlines have talked to Dubbo previously, have talked about the lack of availability of slots in Sydney. Now, if Rex did finally fall over, then that would mean those slots were available. But again, that's the limitation it seems to be for many of the airlines. The other quick thing that only came out earlier on today was an announcement by Catherine King, the federal minister responsible, that the Albanese government has announced that it will guarantee regional flight bookings for Rex customers through the voluntary administration process. So to your point, Councillor Wells, I would encourage people that have flown Rex in the past to keep flying Rex. If they buy a ticket, the federal government has now guaranteed that ticket is safe while it's in that voluntary administration process. So at least people can feel confidence that they're not going to lose their ticket price, keeping in mind that some airlines stepped in the past as well from tickets they bought previously, so people weren't left out of pocket. So I think it is important that we do have multiple airlines servicing regional areas, and Rex do seem to have provided a certain service for some particular airports. Councillor Ivey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a follow-up comment from, or question from Councillor Wells. With Rex under administration, are they providing the same service, exactly the same services Rex were prior to their going into administration? In other words, is their timetable being filled to the same, exactly to the same extent as it was before?
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Ivey. At this stage, yes, but we don't know what that will look like in a week, a month, 6 months' time. But I think at this stage, the administrators are doing their best to continue operations as normal, because obviously they're trying to trade out or find a buyer, find someone to take them over. So they want to make sure they continue to run those flights. So at this stage, I haven't seen anything different for Dubbo. I can't tell you about other ports, but for Dubbo, they've certainly continued to fly the same number of flights. Anything further you want to add to that, Mr. CEO?
Just add that the administrators are running it as a going concern to go to market, and in a conversation with the Minister for Regional Development, Local Government, the Australian Government level, Minister McBain, very positive interactions with the administrators about it being a going concern. The regional, as everyone knows, it's the regional services that are arguably financially sustainable, is what they're saying, rather than the metro service that has been stopped.
Thank you. Good point, though, Councillor Ivey, just to see what services are there. Anything further, Councillor Ivey? No. Okay. Other questions or debate, councillors? No. Councillor Black, if you wish to exercise your right of reply to anything said in the debate.
Just a quick one. Yes, as we were told in the briefing beforehand, if you want to have like your own charter plane from Dubbo to Sydney, book a Rex ticket because there's only 2 or 3 people, and I might do that myself. It's the comfort that I should be in. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Black. Have that before us, councillors. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. Next item, CCL 24/197, report of the Wellington Town Committee. So moved, Councillor Ivey, seconded by Councillor Chowdhury. Councillor Ivey, do you wish to speak to that?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any discussion or debate, councillors? There being none, I put that. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. CCL 24/198, report of the Villages Committee. Has someone moved that? Councillor Ivey again, seconded by Councillor Chowdhury. Councillor Ivey, again, do you wish to speak to that?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Discussion or debate, councillors? There being none, I put that. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. CCL 24/199, report of the Youth Council. So move Councillor Wells, seconded by Councillor Goff. Councillor Wells, do you wish to speak to that?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a brief shout out again. I know I did this last council term, but really pleased with the new young people in the youth council. They're really motivated. They're engaged. They're talking to other presenters at the last meeting we had a couple of weeks ago. It's left me feeling highly motivated and hoping that this can continue on. So kudos to the young people and to Craig for getting the new people on board. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wells. Any further discussion or debate, councillors? There being none, I put that. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. Notice of motion, CCL 24/200, footpaths in Dubbo and Wellington. Councillor Chowdhury.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That the CEO provide a report to December 2024 ordinary meeting of council that number 1, details of the work being undertaking under the adopted 2024-25 operational plan and budget regarding understanding the demand for and gap in the provision of footpaths in Dubbo and Wellington. Number 2, details of what planning instruments council used to ensure the provision of footpaths in new division developments.
Thank you. Can I have a seconder for that, please? Thank you, Councillor Black. Councillor Chowdhury, do you wish to speak to your motion?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I brought this motion because Dubbo is growing. Dubbo and Dubbo whole LG is really growing, and we've seen like a lot of our members in the community are very active. But I just given a small example, like in Keswick, there was a beginning of the Keswick, there's a bit footpath. After that, there is no footpath. So I seen like a young families, like a mom and kids, they with a pram, they're struggling to jogging or walking because the car is coming everywhere. So I thought like this is a bit like a safety issue. So I requested council to bring a report to the to the next council, the new councillor will be on the board. So for their what council is taking action for those like a safety issue and how council can advocate to the new development. We have a lot of new development happening in Northwest and Keswick and other places. So how council can we strongly advocate those new development having a footpath so people can have safe and walk whenever they want, so there'll be no like a safety issue. So I hope my fellow councillor will support my motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Chowdhury. Discussion or debate, councillors? Councillor Ivey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd commend Councillor Chowdhury for this motion and thank him for raising it. It is very topical for the reasons he's outlined for Dubbo, but I might just say in Wellington too, there is need for more footpaths, and to do that we need to have a plan and a review, and this motion brings that forward. In particular, I might just point out to the council that in Wellington we have a precinct there. It takes up a whole block of including the hospital, the ambulance station, the community health services, and Maranatha and Gunya, the childcare centre. So it takes up a whole block there. there is not a footpath around that block. And again, I've been approached by the residents at Maranatha to say, look, could we at least have hopefully a footpath right round the block? There are 80 residents there. Some of them like to go out and walk. At present, they really can't do that in the summer. The footpath's covered in there's no footpath, but the area is covered in cat heads. And in the winter, it's perhaps in the wet, so it's wet and muddy, and it's just not suitable for residents to walk or to take a gopher or a walking frame along. And so again, that's just one example in Wellington. There are others, but I think so. This Councillor Chowdhury's motion will hopefully provide a plan to address some of those issues. So thank you very much, Councillor Chowdhury.
Thank you, Councillor Ivey. Further discussion or debate, councillors? No. Councillor Chowdhury, you have a right of reply to anything said by Councillor Ivey if you wish to exercise it.
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, councillors. We have it before us. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. Next item, CCL 24/201, repatriation of axe grinding groove rocks in Redbury Park. Have someone move that way? Thank you, Councillor Wells. Seconded by Councillor Etheridge. Councillor Wells, do you wish to speak to that?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any further discussion or debate, councillors? No. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. Next item, CCL 24/202, Ballymore Flood Study. Have someone move that way, please. Thank you, Councillor Chowdhury. Seconded by Councillor Black. Councillor Chowdhury, do you wish to speak to that?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I really appreciate that council took that time and done this like a study has been done. So through you, Mr. Mayor, to the relevant staff, when you can see that flood risk management plan gonna be implemented.
Thank you, Councillor Chowdhury. Through you, Mr. CEO, to Mr. Ryan, to Mr. Johnston. Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So the flood risk management plan is currently being drafted. I would expect around another 6 months before we would see a finalised draft flood risk management plan ready for public exhibition.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. So, Councillor Chowdhury, further question or comments on that?
All good, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any other discussion or debate? Any questions about insurances or anything along those lines, councillors? No. There being none, I put that. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. Next item, CCL 24/203, the development application there. Can I have someone move that, please? Thank you, Councillor Etheridge, seconded by Councillor Black. Councillor Etheridge, do you wish to speak to that?
Not really, Mr. Mayor, but it's good to see. It's good to see that the city is continuing to grow.
Thank you, Councillor Etheridge. Other discussion or debate, councillors? Councillor Wells.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just really wanted to make comment that agree that it's good to see not necessarily the city growing, but more housing to support the high demand in the LGA. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wells. Councillor Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, obviously happy to support this development application. I love the location of this new development. I love the diversified nature of the housing that it intends to provide. I know the proponents placed a lot of effort into to finding something that would not be only just suitable to them, but also to council and also community. So commend them on the work they've put into the development itself. So happy to support it.
Thank you, Councillor Wright. Any other? Councillor Black.
Thank you. I note on the plan here, the long-term plan, about the Blizzardfield Road coming off the Mitchell Highway, and I was just wondering if we could get some sort of indication, please. I just saw it and thought of it then about, is there a plan to fast-track that for access to the rehab centre to give the people there the privacy that they need without having to go through all that big residential area, etc.? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Through to Ms. yourself.
have first crack. Look, not accelerated. It's certainly in our planning. The challenge for that road, the paper corridor, if you will, is the intersection on the highway. So we've had those preliminary discussions with Transport for New South Wales, and you will recall some conversations previously, councillors, that is part of that body of work we have to do. We've got some grant funding to do wherever there's an entrance onto a highway. They need to get that transportation modelling done. And so that's a constraint on that particular project. So yes, it's a part of the Northwest Urban Release Area. Keen to get that, I guess, the intersection agreed to, or how that would work from a Transport for New South Wales perspective. But I'll just say to Mr. Ryan to see if there's anything further.
Thank you, CEO. Mr. Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. There's another section in the papers today about the strategic model, and we really need to get that sorted out and continue on with the modelling so that we've got the information that we can provide to Transport for New South Wales to get agreement for the intersection connections that we've got for all the development we've got there, including Blizzardfield.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Councillor Black, sorry, just Councillor Shattery. I'll just finish with Councillor Black.
No,
Any
that's
further,
great. Thank
Councillor
you.
Black? Right. Councillor Shattery.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's good, really good to see more housing is coming as Dabo and Dabo LG is thriving and a lot of people are moving. As my fellow councillor, and I also very highly advocating for open space area. On that report is showing like a open space area will be undertaking as part of the separate planning agreement process. Can through you, Mr. Mayor, can someone little bit give explanation what like is there like a why is doing the separately and how long will it take time like to approval for open space area, and if that open space area like what would be look like? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Shattery. To you, Mr. CEO, to Mr. Wallace.
Through you, Mr. Chair, the planning agreement can't be, until an offer has been made, a planning agreement can't be signed off on it, so it can't be committed to. So that really is the next part. So at the moment, what we're doing is charging contributions. We expect that negotiations will occur, which we haven't entered into at this point in time to any great detail. That will then drive the detail of any future planning agreement, which will come back before council for consideration before going out on public exhibition. So that is still a body of work yet to be done, and therefore we don't really know what the open space exactly. There's some draft drawings that are in existence, but in terms of finalising plans, we aren't anywhere near that space. How long might it take? It could take in the order of 6 months, but that would be an estimate.
Thank you, Mr. Wallace. Further, Councillor Shattery?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any further discussion or debate, councillors? No. Councillor Etheridge, do you have a right of reply if you wish to exercise that?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I have that before us, councillors. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. Next item, CCL 24/204, planning proposal 20L Rocky Road. I'll get Councillor Black to declare his conflict of interest.
Thank you. I'm declaring a significant interest in this item, CCL 24/204, as I own a farming block on the corner of Warri Road and Old Dubbo Road, which is close to the subject block. As a result of that, I'll not be present at or inside of the meeting at the time this matter is discussed, considered and voted on. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Black. I'll wait till you leave the room. Thank you, councillors. Can I have someone move that, please? Thank you, Councillor Shattery, seconded by Councillor Goff. Councillor Shattery, do you wish to speak to that?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Discussion or debate, councillors? There being none, I put that. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. Could someone, thank you, bring Councillor Black back? Oh, he's appeared. That was tricky. Okay, thank you, councillors. Next item is CCL 24/205, planning proposal for Keswick Estate. Can I have someone move that, please? Thank you, Councillor Black, seconded by Councillor Wells. Councillor Black, do you wish to speak to that?
No thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions, debate, councillors? Being none, I put that. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. CCL 24/206, planning proposal, results of public exhibition for 30 Narromine Road. Have someone move that way, please. Thank you, Councillor Ivey, seconded by Councillor Chowdhury. Councillor Ivey, do you wish to speak to that?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Initially, a question. I noticed in the recommendation that recommendation number 3, I think, is that council prepare a citywide strategic transportation model and an infrastructure contributions plan to address the requirements of the Transport for New South Wales objection. Can I just ask a clarification there? So that's a requirement put in by Transport for New South Wales. Why? What's the background to it?
That's a very good question, Councillor Ivey. Through you, or you, Mr. CEO?
I'll pass on to Mr. Tim Howlett, the manager of the growth planning team.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, as part of the planning proposal, we're required to consult with multiple state agencies, Transport for New South Wales being one of them. They put in an objection to the planning proposals in that the impacts on the transport network weren't adequately addressed, and how potential upgrades to that network would be funded. We had ongoing and robust conversations with Transport for New South Wales, and as part of that, we do need to prepare a strategic transport model, which could potentially be discussed further in the next council report. Due to the unresolved objection, the ability to proceed with the planning proposal is significantly hindered. So in order to continue with the planning proposal at a later date, the recommendation in front of you is to prepare the body of work that Transport raised in their objection, undertake further consultation with Transport for New South Wales, and depending on the outcomes of that consultation, the planning proposal could then proceed to finalisation, and these rezonings and changes to the minimum lot sizes would happen. But as of today, because of the outstanding objection, the recommendation is to do that additional strategic transport model and infrastructure contributions plan to address their objection.
Thank you, Mr. Howlett. Further, Councillor Ivey?
Oh, is it appropriate for me now to make a comment on that? Thank you. Just seems to me then that I can see why we're doing it, and we've got to do it because that's what Transport for New South Wales want. They want a citywide strategic transportation model. But I'm not a traffic engineer, but it seems to me that a good start to that would be to define, first of all, in a long-term basis, where the bypass route is likely to go around Dubbo, and therefore what effect it might have on the transport or the traffic within the city. And so it just seems to me that Transport for New South Wales are putting some requirements on us to do that, and we can do it. But the effectiveness of doing that transport study is greatly diminished because we don't really know long term what effect the any bypass may have on it. And it just seems to me that I don't know if we've got the opportunity to raise with Transport for New South Wales. This is another example of why it would be good if Transport for New South Wales would start to work towards developing where the bypass, heavy traffic bypass is around Dubbo. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ivey. Discussion or debate, councillors? Councillor Wright.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. It was probably more a question about some timeframes. Obviously, it's a pretty significant land development we're talking here, which is again going to like that the DA that was just passed to go towards contributing towards easing some of the pain around housing. What sort of timeframe would we expect? Pardon my ignorance. I thought that we had a reasonably up to date transportation strategy for the city anyway, but maybe that's aged. But what sort of timeframe would we expect for this? This sort of activity to take place, knowing that these things can be pretty slow moving at times.
Thank you, Councillor Wright. I'll go through Mr. CEO to Mr. Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We've currently developed a brief for this new model, so it's to transform our existing model into a different software version. I think we're probably about 2 weeks away from being able to release that to do the engagement. There is a fair amount of work because it's about transferring all the background data in the model into a new one. I would estimate it's probably about a 4 to 5 month process to do that, and then also to verify it, because there's also the checking to make sure it makes sense. We have been talking to Transport about that, so we're hoping that we're going to get some assistance there, so they've got buy-in to this citywide model. But I would be estimating, yeah, it's about the 4 to 5 month mark from today if we all kick on in terms of getting that engagement done within the next 2 weeks.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. CEO, do you want to add anything further to that?
Yeah, and just to be clear, we have an existing model that has been used for a long period of time, but Transport for New South Wales, there's the way that the model is built that they can't see the inputs into the model. That's why they have a new requirement. And so this will meet their specifications in effect. So we have confidence that we'll get there, but they are specifying how it's constructed. So we're very much being dictated to, and given they're the road authority that controls access to the highways, somewhat to Councillor Ivey's point, there is no way for us to negotiate our way through this. We must do it at their behest.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. So, Councillor Wright, anything further from that?
No, thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Other discussion? Councillor Black.
Thank you. Yes, as always, nearly always, most of the time, usually I agree with Councillor Ivey with the bypass. We did moved an amendment a few years ago, you might remember, to seek a total of $150,000 off previous state and federal governments for a bypass study for a route reservation, but we weren't successful with that. We're going to get down the track and people will say, why did council never reserve the route? Work out where we're going to go, reserve the route for a bypass or a ring road. We had the Stapleton report that had the ring roads around Dubbo. I know it's a long way off, but you have to plan for these things. And we know who in the state government departments isn't keen on a bypass, but I just think that in time, people will look back and say, what a failure of planning to not reserve the route for a bypass, even a ring road, to get the trucks out of Dubbo. And I know that Transport for New South Wales think that all trucks are coming to Dubbo, but there's a lot of trucks go up and down that Newell Highway every day. They go straight through town and they don't actually stop in Dubbo. And also, we did see the current traffic planning report, the Stapleton 2.0, actually removed the bypass, if I recall correctly, from that, looking at that into the future. So that's something that really needs to happen before all the land is used for housing. And it's like, oh, that's too late now. And when you look at what they've got in Orange with their northern distributor, and they're about to get a southern distributor, it generates a heap of economic activity along there, and it helps move the traffic around. We need the same thing in Dubbo, and sooner rather than later. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Black. Further discussion or debate, councillors? No. Councillor Ivey, you have a right of reply to anything said in the debate.
No, thanks, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. I have that before us, councillors. All those in favour? Against? Yeah, that carried. CCL 24/207, Federal Government Housing Support Program, Stream 1. Can I someone move that way, please? Thank you, Councillor Black. Seconded by Councillor Wells. Councillor Black, do you wish to speak to that?
No, thanks.
Discussion or debate, councillors? There being none, I put that. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. Next item, CCL 24/208, Draft 2024-2034 Waste Strategy. Have someone move that way, please? Thank you, Councillor Ivey. Seconded by Councillor Goff. Do you wish to speak to that, Councillor Ivey?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any discussion or debate, councillors? There being none, I put that. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. Next item, CCL 24/209, Adoption of 2024-2026 Water Supply and Sewerage Customer Service Plan. Have someone move that way, please? Thank you, Councillor Wells. Seconded by Councillor Chowdhury. Councillor Wells, do you wish to speak to that?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any discussion or debate, councillors? There being none, I put that. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. CCL 24/210, renaming of the Legacy Shared Pathway, located on lot 7023. Have someone move that way, please? Thank you, Councillor Wright. Moved, seconded by Councillor Ivey. Councillor Wright, do you wish to speak to that?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Look, it was great to see the community got involved in that, and look, certainly the name recommended there with respect to the and the reference to the Tracker Riley pathway certainly makes some sense. Certainly, though, differentiating that stretch of pathway, if you like, from the other areas of Tracker Riley makes sense, certainly from an emergency perspective, but it also still acknowledges the that particular section of the track that obviously has been heavily invested in. So no, thanks to the community for getting involved. Obviously, everyone had their thoughts with respect to it, so I'm glad we've brought it here and we can make a decision on it today.
Thank you, Councillor Wright. Any other discussion or debate? Councillor Black.
Thank you. Yes, I think we get to a good outcome here. I did ring the Geographical Names Board the other week and asked about, was Tracker Riley what's the term? There's a proper term there for the names. And no, it's not. And neither was Legacy Shared Pathway or any of those. A place name, that's the proper term. I've actually found 4 names. When looking around, we've got the sign down there, which was Legacy Shared Pathway. There's the Dubbo Macquarie River Shared Pathway on it. It's on the sign. Then there's the Council Internal Working Legacy Shared Pathway. And on government grant websites, there's New South Wales Public Spaces Legacy Program and Dubbo CBD Macquarie River Boardwalk. So, look, all of those, this does wrap it up neatly, but we could have just made that decision ourselves because there was none of those names that I just read out are actual place names recognised by the Geographical Names Board. So the amount of cost and the staff time involved in that is a bit of a concern to me, like I said at a previous meeting, but we do get to a good result with keeping the Tracker Riley name. We get a place name with Tracker Riley Promenade, was it? So that, like Councillor Wright said, emergency services can find the place if required. Hopefully they won't be required, but we could have just made this decision previously. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Black. Other discussion or debate, councillors? And I think it is a good outcome from that. The thing I do like about it, though, is that it's always good to involve the community in decisions. And so Councillor Black's right, we could have made a decision, but I think the ultimate outcome there was that we involved the community, we heard from the community, listened to that feedback, and then made a decision based around that. So I think it's a good outcome from the community and a good outcome overall. Councillor Wright, you have a right of reply to anything said in the debate if you so desire.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Look, only just to back up your comment just there. Look, there's a lot of things that this council can make decisions on and potentially dictate to community, but I don't think that's our role all the time. I think there's an opportunity for us to go to community and seek some feedback and some more thoughts and ideas, and I think we've made the right decision here. And as you know, Councillor Black said, I think we've reached the right outcome with respect to it, but I'm glad we've done it without dictating to community and letting them have some input into the decision.
I think your councillors have that now before us. All those in favour? Against? Declare it carried. Next item, CCL 24/211, Victoria Park Amenities, results of public exhibition. Councillor Wells, Councillor Ivey, you had an alternative motion, did you?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I was just going to foreshadow that I would like to move an alternative motion. So,
Well, if that's okay with Councillor Wells, I'll go straight to that just for expediency of time. So you can move that alternative if you so desire.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The alternative motion is that this item be deferred to the ordinary council meeting on the 24th of October 2024 to allow for additional information to be prepared.
Councillor Ivey, have someone second that, please. Councillor Showery. Councillor Ivey, you should speak to that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, the existing motion as such is good. It's got some good information in there, but it lacks, I think, a very important point, and that is where that this toilet would be located. There's not much use designing it and going through it and even getting it to a tender stage until we've decided where to put it. I noticed from the public consultation or the public feedback that the nearly 100 respondents, they were pretty well split onto where which of the 3 alternative locations would be suitable. So therefore, I don't think this council can take any guidance from the public as to where the location should be. So therefore, the location comes back to council to prepare analyses and information on suitable sites, the pros and cons of suitable sites. And I think that is an important part of the location and the building of this toilet. So for that reason, I think that we should just defer it pending provision of better information from staff on the the advantages of each of those alternatives. I can speak with some first-hand knowledge of the problems. If you get the location or the design of a toilet block wrong for a public park, if you get that wrong, the public are pretty unforgiving. So I just think that it'd be worthwhile holding off making a final decision on the location until we get some better information. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ivey. Other discussion or debate, councillors? Councillor Wells.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm happy to support the shadow motion. Is it foreshadow?
It's the motion.
Yeah. Agree that we need some more input from community so that we're making the right decision based on the community's needs. 97 people who were surveyed, or who responded to the survey. That's a great start, but certainly would prefer to see a lot more community comment on where's the best location. So hopefully, if community's listening, please have a think. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wells. Other discussion or debate, councillors? No, there being none. Councillor Ivey, you have a right of reply to anything that Councillor Wells said, if you wish.
Just one comment there. Councillor Wells said that it'd be good to get some better or more community feedback, and that may well be. But again, I was thinking that really the decision on the location probably should be made on the recommendation or the information provided by staff on that, taking into account such things as location of services, access, location to alternative facilities for instance, at the swimming pool. That there might be some information there from almost a technical point of view, which would tend to favour one side above the other. And I'd like to get some more information from staff on what those extra technical information might suggest as being therefore the preferred site.
Thank you, Councillor Ivey. So we have that before us now, councillors, for a deferral of that. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. Next item is CCL 24/212, and this one I need an option. There's 3 options in our business papers, so I need someone to move a specific option or a different option altogether if they so desire, but we can't just move the recommendation that's in there at the moment. So if someone would like to move something for CCL 24/2112, or you could all go mute. Councillor Ivey.
Again, for the purposes of stimulating some discussion, Mr. Mayor, I will move that again a decision on the tree preservation strategy be deferred until the next term of council. The reason being, look, I know we've had some input into this, and I know that it's been.
Sorry, hold on, Councillor Ivey. I've got that moved. So option 3 I got moved. I'll get seconded before you speak to it. So you're moving option 3, which is basically that further consideration of a TPO be undertaken by the incoming council post the September 2024 election. So move. Let's get someone to second that. Councillor Goff. Now you can speak to it if you like, Councillor Ivey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just got a bit excited. Obviously, it's an issue which this term of council has considered. There's been a considerable amount of work put into it, but it is an item, an issue which is really dear to the hearts of a lot of residents. And I think that the council making the decision and on the implementation of a tree management strategy should be responsible to the community. And if here we are at this is being our last meeting under this term of council to make a decision that's effective for the next term of council to have to implement and be answerable to, I think is a mistake. So just for the want of putting it off for another month or two, I think that is the correct thing to do, rather than this council push something onto the community and then not be answerable to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ivey. Discussion or debate, Councillor Goff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm really am of two minds. I would like to see something that this council started finished, but I am going to support option 3 for a deferral, because the results were so close. And I would really like the community to ramp up again and communicate with current councillors or incoming councillors, or really express how you feel of what you would like your TPO to look like, whether we have one or not.
Thank you, Councillor Goff. Further discussion, Councillor Black.
Thank you. Yes, I think that it's the right thing to do to defer this. It really should have been brought a long time ago, not right at the day before we go into caretaker mode. I think that we really do need to do a proper education campaign in the community, decide on which one we're going to go with, like 10 metres or 8 metres, because all of the information from all around Australia, different cities that are trying to preserve or increase their tree canopy cover, not little bushes that you have out the front, like proper decent trees that provide the actual canopy that makes a real difference to your standard of living. They're just losing tree canopy cover all over the place. So I think that we really do need to bring the community with us. It's a shame we couldn't have used that $1,500 plus the staff time from the Track O'Reilly naming expedition to actually educate the community on what a tree preservation order is and how it would be great for the city. It doesn't mean that you wouldn't be able to chop down any trees. It just means that you just can't go chopping everything down on a whim, and that we want to try and make the community or the amenity more livable, especially with a warming climate, and much nicer place to live with a few trees around rather than a denuded block. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Black. Further discussion, debate, councillors? There being none, Councillor Ivey, you have a right of reply.
No, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. We have that before us. All those, this is the deferral, if you remember. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. Next item, CCL 24/213, the Event Assistance Program. Have someone move that way, please. So, Councillor Ivey, you want to amend, or do you want to try and move it as an alternative?
I just want to amend it, Mr.
Okay,
Chair.
we'll get it moved first, and then you can amend it. I'll wait till after I move that. Sorry, Councillor Shattery. So can I have someone move the report as is? Councillor Goff, thank you. Have someone second that? Thank you, Councillor Wells. Before you speak to that, Councillor Goff, Councillor Shattery.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a non-pecuniary less than significant conflict. I know a couple of community-based groups in this report, but I attended on their event regularly, but I never been involved in their committee, so I'll be staying in the room. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Shattery. Councillor Goff, you wish to speak to your motion?
No, just great to see a lot of community organisations applying for this funding in the new structure, and congratulations to those who are getting money.
Thank you, Councillor Goff. Now, Councillor Ivey, I have a feeling that you have an amendment there you wish to bring forward.
You're very perceptive, Mr. Mayor. Could I move an amendment that adds a new point to item 1, and that's it'll be point H, that refers to the Arana Canine Training Club, that the Arana Canine Training Club dog obedience trials be granted $500 as per their original request or their original application. That's I would wish that item to be included as another point within the approvals.
Okay, so that's basically adding on point H for an extra $500. So moved. Can I have someone second the amendment? Thank you, Councillor Wells. Councillor Ivey, you should speak to your amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Look, it's only a small amount of money in the scheme of things, $500, but I had the privilege of actually attending the 3-day dog trials run by the Arana Canine Training Club. It involved competitors bringing their dogs from right throughout New South Wales, ACT. The judges similarly came from the ACT, South Coast and the Central Coast of New South Wales. People travelled here, stayed 3 or 4 nights, and in actual fact the secretary who was running the or helping to organise the event moved into Dubbo for 4 days to help run the event from her home. She's a local person, but still moved into, or out of town, but moved into town for the duration to help organise and run the event. It's run by volunteers. It provides a very good service. It does provide quite a good lot of publicity to Dubbo. And I think really this council just show its support by saying thank you very much for acknowledging the inputs that the members of the Orana Canine Training Club put in. I think it's money that this council will be well invest. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ivey. Further discussion or debate, councillors, on the amendment only? No? Councillor Wright.
Just getting a bit of clarity with respect to that particular one. Am I right in suggesting that that particular entity did enter the community or did submit an entry into the community events fund, and actually the entry did fit the qualifying criteria for the community events fund? Is that correct?
Yes, that's my understanding. Happy to go through, Mr. CEO, if you want me to give any further clarification from your staff. But yes, that's my understanding, Councillor Wright. Mr. Arms, do you wish to add anything to that?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's a difficult process at times because, as you stated in the report, there were, from memory, around $25,000 worth of application for $10,000 of available funding, and so it's a highly competitive fund, as is the Community Services Fund, which we discuss next. And so we set the criteria clearly, and we assess the applications against those, and we try and make sure that we use that, allocate that $10,000 as best as we can. And so, yes, there may be a qualification for the conditions, but given the disparity in applications versus funds available, there needs to be like a competition-based decision made at the end of the day. So the best applications get the money at the end of the day, I suppose, is the short way of saying it.
So just to clarify, Mr. Arms, that was a yes.
Yes, Mr.
So yes, Councillor Wright was what Mr. Arms said then in a verbose form.
Sure. And just a follow-up question then with respect to that. So I can see that $10,000 was allocated. We're talking now potentially $10,500, which is only, as Councillor Ivey said, a small amount. Is that then just that $500 just reallocated from one of the other community funds or destination funds? How would that normally work?
Yeah, happy to go through to Mr. CEO to answer that for that $500.
Yeah, that'd be typically get found within the branch by which the funds exist as well. So whether that's from future rounds, for example, that reduces that, or from other savings throughout the year.
Thank you.
Thanks, yeah. That answers that, Councillor Wright.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Yep. Further questions or debate, councillors, on the amendment? Councillor Goff, as the mover of the original motion, you have a right of reply to the amendment and anything said about the amendment if you wish.
I'm happy to support it, and thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so on the amendment first here, all those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. That now becomes part of the motion. So back onto the overall motion now, and I've got no one that's entered the debate at this stage on the motion, the overall motion, including now point H. So discussion or debate, councillors? Councillor Chowdhury.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It is a great program and good to see like a lot of community groups are coming. But other side is there is still a few community groups, they are not submitting some equators. So that's the reason they might losing some like opportunities in future. So I'm just asking through you, Mr. Mayor, what council staff are doing assisting those outstanding equators for those community groups? Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Chowdhury. To you, Mr. CEO. To Mr. Arms. Mr. Arms.
It's the staff, through you, Mr. Mayor, the staff very active in helping the community that have received funding acquit their grants. It's an important part of the process. And so we go to some length in both reports to explain that process in the acquittal section of the reports, where we're seeking to remind them regularly, and as we move into the next rounds of both funds, we send out reminders as well, but also regular contact with those people that have received funds. So their acquittals are very important. We have made progress over the last 18 months in that space, but we still have some time to go. I'll say between the two funds that there's currently around $200,000 still to be acquitted. And so what we're trying to do also is build a higher standard and appreciation for both the funds and an appreciation for acquitting that public money. I think that's certainly expected of me in my position. I'm sure the councillors would agree with that. But we do work with with those funding bodies, funding recipients as best as we can. But at the end of the day, the responsibility lies with them to acquit those public funds that they get.
And Councillor Shadow, I think that's an important point that Mr Arms makes there, that they are public funds. So there is a reasonable expectation when you receive public funds that you do show how those public funds have been utilised. But I think the other trigger is when you can't get funding from the next round, that might be enough of a push to make you go through the acquittal process, because you essentially rule yourself out of the next funding rounds. Anything further, Councillor Shattery?
No, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Further discussion or debate, councillors? Okay, thank you. Councillor Goff, you have anything you wish to say or reply about what Councillor Shattery said?
No, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. We have that before us, councillors. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. Next item, CCL 24/214, Community Services Fund. Can someone move that way, please? Councillor Wells, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Shattery. Councillor Wells, do you wish to speak to that?
No, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Councillors, any discussion or debate? Sorry, Councillor Shattery.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I will declare non-pecuniary less than significant conflict, because I was part of the Oriscon committee before, but not any longer. So I'll be staying in the room. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Shattery. Discussion or debate, councillors? There being none, I put that. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. And just, sorry, Councillor Wells, just your microphone. Just turn that off if you can, please. Thank you. Next item, CCL 24/215, 2526 Destination Partnership Program Fees and Charges. If someone move that way, please. Thank you, Councillor Etheridge, seconded by Councillor Wells. Councillor Etheridge, do you wish to speak to that?
No, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Discussion or debate, councillors? There being none, I put that. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. Next item, CCL 24/216, Central West Orana Renewable Energy Zone Community and Employment Benefit Program. So Councillor Ivey, I'm not sure if you've got an alternative motion there or you want to do an amendment. What was the final decision? You're doing an alternative motion, are you?
Happy to receive some advice on whether it should be an alternative or an.
So have you got the full wording there for the motion, including the extra bit you want added in?
At present, item 2 reads that the priority project is the Renewable Energy Awareness and Career Training Centre. I'd like to change that to read that the priority project is the Renewable Energy Awareness and Career Training Centre, subject to a positive, supportive feasibility study.
Sure. So just move that as the alternative if you wish, and then we can discuss it from there. So if you move that, so you've essentially moved that. Hopefully council's understood that. If I get someone to second that, please. Thank you, Councillor Shattery. So Councillor Ivey, if you wish to speak to that, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, look, this career Renewable Energy Awareness and Career Training Centre has been the subject of discussion over the last really 1 or 2 years, and it's now getting to the pointy end where perhaps it's becoming more of a reality. As part of the supporting information to that, Council has commissioned a feasibility study to be done. I understand that that final feasibility study is about to be completed, but we've got a deadline that we must submit the application by, I think, the 9th of September. And so the point of my alternative motion is to just allow that application is submitted, but subject to this feasibility study supporting the application. So I just think that tidies it up a little bit better to actually have the feasibility study, and provided that's supportive, then we submit the application.
Thank you, Councillor Ivey. Further discussion or debate, councillors? Councillor Black.
Thank you. Yes, I know we've been talking about this for a while, and we had a very high-level business case provided previously, but I'm going to vote against this because I think for the money, $11.5 million, I'm yet to be convinced that a renewable energy education centre is going to attract 100 or 120,000 visitors a year, like we've heard continually. Look, half the population's got solar panels on their roof. They can go outside and just look at it. The other half of the population watches too much Sky News and thinks that renewable energy is no good anyway. So, look, I'm just not sure that that'll be a viable option. And from what I've read in the business case and other things like that, I've got a few questions. And then we've got to staff it. It's got to be staffed. There's the depreciation. There's all those sort of things. And I just don't think it's going to be the success that it's claimed. And as for the training centre, yeah, it'd be great to have a training centre, but it really should be paid for out of a separate pot of money. We should have the renewable energy companies should be setting that up. We're the only res in New South Wales that's underway. They should have been told from the get-go, you're going to train people there, and that money should come out of their money, plus state and federal education / training funding, the TAFE money or whatever, to get this going, some other pot of money, and all of that $11.5 million, we should spend it in Wellington, but on some other project that I feel will give benefit to the community that otherwise may not have been funded. So like I say, I'm not against the training centre, but I just feel that it should be from a different pot of money, not actual community benefit money, which we could use for something else, such as the Wellington Caves. We could get that the whole plan for Willow Caves that we talked about only a couple of months ago. We could have all of that funded from this money, and then we could lean on the companies and also the state and federal training providers and the energy ministers and stuff like that to get these often foreign-owned multinational companies to train the people in Wellington. So I'll vote against it based on that. I think there's other things that we could do better with that money. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Black. Councillor Shattery.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll support this motion, and I think through you, Mr. Mayor, I just need a little bit clarity from the staff about this funding. As Councillor Black said, like this funding we can use for the other project, but just for the clarity, I think the minister has mentioned this is for this infrastructure project. Thank you.
So was that a question, Councillor Shattery?
Yeah, just
okay.
asking. Yeah.
Thank you. I'll take that to Mr. CEO, to you. Yep, thank you.
Yeah, sure. Certainly discussions with in discussing the funding and also with Energy Co. There is a strong attraction to actually developing a training facility, particularly for the region that is the first res to get up. And given that currently, and the advice we have from proponents is that, particularly on wind farms, for example, they have to send their people to get trained up and accredited down to Victoria. So there is that level of support for making something happen in New South Wales. Anything else, Ms. Brown, to add to that?
Only that employment outcomes are very strongly supported by this particular funding round, and the feasibility study that's being developed is being developed in line with the New South Wales Treasury business case and cost benefit analysis, so it will have some robustness to it once it's developed.
Thank you. That answers that question, Councillor Shattery?
Yes, thank you. Can I make a comment? Or?
Certainly.
Thank you. No, definitely. I think it would be fantastic for that Wellington, because this training session center will be attract more employment, more benefit to that. Because as we always hear, Wellington feel like they are the poor cousin. I think that would be another good opportunity. Show this Dubbo LG is not only for Dubbo, is for the whole LGA, and we need to look after every villages and including Wellington. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Shattery. Councillor Goff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Really want to get rid of the comment, poor cousin of Dubbo. It's annoying me. But I like this idea. So someone who sits in a business that has a lot of visitors to Welling to come, I can't tell you how many times a day I talk about the solar farms and the wind farms and everything that's going on. So I feel like a bit of a tourist information centre. So there is a thirst for visitors coming into the area to want to know about the renewables that are going on. So this, other than the training centre, I think it's going to be really beneficial long term for an education purpose.
Thank you, Councillor Goff. Any further discussion or debate, councillors? Councillor Wright.
Mr. Mayor, can I just have that point 2 just read back out again to me, please, just for that amended line?
Certainly, that's it's not amended. It's not the same as the business paper. Has been a little bit changed. But Councillor Ive, if you wish to read out that again, please.
So it will now read, it's proposed to read, that the priority project is the Renewable Energy Awareness and Career Training Centre, subject to a positive and supportive feasibility study.
Thank you, Councillor Ivey. Councillor Wright, that makes sense?
Yeah, it does, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. So just a quick comment. Look, on the basis of that amended wording, I'm happy to support. Obviously, so it probably goes to Councillor Black's comment there that it does seem like a significant amount of money, and with that sort of report provided at a and a feasibility report provided down the track, I think that might give a bit more confidence in moving forward. But yes, it's a significant amount of money without having that sort of report in front of us. So.
Thank you, Councillor Wright. Any further discussion or debate, councillors? You can ask a question, Councillor Ivey. You can't enter the debate again. You do get your chance as a right of reply, but you can ask a question if you so desire, or if you're clever, word it as a question. Okay, no further discussion or debate, councillors. No, Councillor Ivey, you have a right of reply, but only to things that were said during the debate. I've got to stress that. So you can't bring something new in now.
Including Councillor Black's comments.
Any discussion in the debate, you can have a reply to that, but you can't bring something new in.
No. Just again, perhaps following on from Councillor Wright's comments, that Councillor Black, look, I hear what you say and I don't disagree with what you say. That was the point of getting this robust feasibility study done. And look, really, if the results of that costly, in many ways, feasibility study comes back and says, look, it's pie in the sky, it's not really worth it, it won't work, that's the point of this alternative motion. Therefore, the application won't be submitted. If some professional people come back and prepare a feasibility study that says it is a goer, and that then is supportive of our application, which goes in, and the reviewing body that looks at our application approves it, then I think that whole process has been quite rigorous, and therefore that alone means that it should be it should be supported. So. I think that if it doesn't stack up, it won't go ahead. If it does stack up, let's go ahead with it. The other thing is, you say that there are other things that should be done, and yes, I agree. There will be other funding coming through. If we plan this properly and we really put some pressure on the powers that be, there will be other funding sources to do the sorts of things which, yes, that you've raised. So this is not the only money that's going to come out of these move towards renewables. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ivey. We have that before us now, councillors. All those in favour? All those against? I declare that carried. Thank you, councillors. Next item, CCL 24/217, extraordinary meeting of council on 5th September. Just when you thought this was the last one, maybe there's one more to come. So can I have someone move that, please, councillors? Thank you, Councillor Goff. Now, I'll just double check, sorry, we're moving the alternative one here. Yep, so, sorry, Councillor Etheridge, my apologies, Councillor Goff. Councillor Etheridge has the alternative motion there. Yep, okay, thank you. So, Councillor Etheridge, if you could move that, please. If you move that one, yeah. Just.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor. My alternative motion is that an extraordinary council meeting be held on Thursday, the 5th of September 2024, excuse me, at 12 p.m. for the purpose of adopting the draft financial statements to be referred to the New South Wales Audit Office and consideration of development applications that are consistent with the caretaker provisions.
Thank you, Councillor Etheridge. Have someone second that, please. Councillor Showery. Councillor Etheridge, do you wish to speak to that?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
No, thank you. Any discussion or debate, councillors? No. So I put that. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. So we've got one more now, councillors. Okay, next item, CCL 24/218, questions on notice, 3D printed toilet box signage. Councillor Black, wish to move that?
Yes, thanks. Move that.
Seconded by Councillor Goff. Councillor Black, do you wish to speak to that?
Just very briefly, thank you. So, for those following at home, the questions were, what was the full installed cost of the sign at the 3D printed toilet that I saw over there the other week, and then people put up on Facebook? Manufacture and installation cost was $918 plus GST. That didn't include the internal costs of design, which I thought might have been included in my answer to my question. But anyway, question 2 was, who had input into the information on the sign? The answer is building services, recreation, open space, communication services, and marketing and creative services. A lot of input. 3, who approved the final design, sign design and text, community, culture and places? So no names, but just general names of departments or faculties within the council. So $900 plus who knows how much in staff time to design that sign. There's an awful lot of people had input into it. But yeah, no, the less we talk about that 3D toilet and hope that we don't end up with another situation like that with a cracked in half toilet. Thank you, Councillor Ivey. Cracked in half toilet and in the style that was going to be too dear to actually do it in individual cubicles. The better I feel, and I don't know that putting a sign up there and putting it up as a tourist attraction is one of our greatest achievements. Thank you.
Any councillors, any further discussion or debate? There being none, I put that. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. Next item is Councillor Black, CCL 24/219, questions on notice, cost of renaming Dubbo Macquarie River Shared Pathway.
Move that.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Etheridge. Councillor Black, do you wish to speak to that?
Just very briefly, I said a lot of it before in the discussion on the naming, renaming, official naming of the part of the Tracker Riley pathway. Basically, the cost of the naming process was $1,500. Those funds used for promotional purposes, including printed media and radio. Also, you've got to factor in all the staff time there. Once again, we see a lot of staff time being used, and as I said previously, I don't think that that's the greatest use of staff time for this, when we could have just named the pathway ourselves. And does the Geographical Names Board currently have a place name for the area referred to as the Dubbo Macquarie River Shared Pathway? The answer was no. So we would have just been able to change that ourselves and save a lot of time and money and just make a good decision, and it wouldn't have just been dictating to the community. It would have just been making a sensible decision, which we were all elected to do, and it would have been very uncontroversial and saved all that money and staff time. And time is money. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Black. Any further discussion or debate, councillors? Being none, I put that. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. So, comments and matters of urgency, councillors. I'll start on my left with Councillor Wright. So, comments and matters of urgency, Councillor Wright.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'll keep it very short. I was going to say a very quick thank you to all my councillors. I know this was supposed to be our last meeting, but with my fellow councillors, I know we've got one more to go. And I just wanted to give a bit of a quick shout out to Councillor Etheridge. I know she's put a lot of her time over the last, has it been 8 years, I think, on her term as Dubbo Regional Council. So congratulations for your input, Councillor Etheridge, and it's been great sharing this term of 3 years with you as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wright.
Thank you very much.
I'll go to you now, Councillor Etheridge.
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Councillor Showery.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll thank you. Like at the last meeting, one last meeting, still we have, but this is the like ordinary meeting. And so the final meeting, I would like to thank you all, my fellow councillor. Thank you. 2.5 years gone, I really enjoyed all your leadership, teamwork, integrity you have proven for this council. I really appreciate. Also, I really like to thank you, the CEO, all the director, and all the staff. Without your support, I cannot do my job. Thank you, and I really appreciate all your support you have done. And thank you. Yeah, I got a little bit emotional. Thank you.
I know you're going to miss us, Shibs. I'm sure you'll miss us all. Councillor Black.
Thank you. Just a couple of things very briefly. I was looking through the Boxar crime stats for the Dubbo LGA for the year, and Dubbo is still, Dubbo LGA, Dubbo and Wellington, still right up there in crime statistics. We've got domestic violence assault, 6 out of all the LGAs recorded in New South Wales. Robbery, 6. Breaking into dwelling, 7. Breaking into non-dwelling, 10. Stealing offences, 3rd in the whole state. So despite comments, was it May last year when I moved up, that we have a crime summit to try and pressure the state and federal government to provide more resources, and there was comments that, oh, you know, crime will go down. I'm sure crime will go down in the next 12 months. Well, it hasn't. And Moree got that $13 million that we missed out on. I wasn't able to make the end of term report because I was in Sydney on some matters at the time, but I thought I'd give a few of my highlights from my own end of term report since I wasn't able to make it on the day. And a couple of the things that I felt were things that I pushed for and achieved over the last 2 years and 9 months or 8 months of this council were voting against and talking against the pool privatisations. I'm very happy with my stance on that and proud of that. Trying to move the rehab centre, saving the sale yards from being privatised. The Regan Park issue was probably the first big one, and we managed to save Regan Park. Went down on the crime summit, and we can all see that. Voted against the last councillor pay rise. Also trying to get up councillor transparency, or transparency of councillor expenditure of various allowances. We managed to keep the bowling club purchase alive, which I think will serve Dubbo very well into the future. I voted against park sell-offs, privatisations there. What else do we have? Market Square. I've still got concerns about what happened with Market Square in Wellington. We've got $100,000 into the street tree planning budget. Another end of term report highlight for me was trying to get that money from the sign budget money, updating signs, put into street trees, and then heavy patching, and then the Butlers Falls road out there. So there's some of the highlights of my end of term report on myself. There's only 2 types of councillors, those who have been sacked and those who are waiting to be sacked, and most of us fall into that. But Lewis, Councillor Burns, Councillor Mann and Councillor Etheridge all get to go out on their own terms, so very lucky for them by retiring at the next election, and good luck to everyone else who is going to stand for council, and if you get elected, I hope it's everything that you think it will be. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Black. Councillor Goff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Most of us are standing again. Thank you for Councillor Etheridge, Councillor Mann and Councillor Burns for their time, and it's been really nice getting to know Councillor Burns and Mann and Etheridge over these past 2 years and 9 months, and thank you for your time. The primary role of a councillor is to reflect and listen to your community, and I feel most of us have done that quite well and quite effectively. I'm not going to stand here and talk about what I'm proud of doing, but I just want to say be kind and courteous for the next 4 weeks. I think anyone that wants to put their hand up is quite brave and run for local government. So congratulations for taking that first step in that direction, because you obviously care about your community and you want to see it prosper. So good luck, and just stay true to yourself and stay kind, please.
Thank you, Councillor Goff. Councillor Ivey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, look, people say to me, do you enjoy being on council? And I say, I don't know whether enjoy is the right word. I've certainly I've regarded it as a privilege. And one thing that I have really appreciated is getting to know my fellow councillors. Obviously, we have disagreements. We don't agree on everything. Of course, we don't. But I do really appreciate the individuality and the collectiveness of the councillors. I've really enjoyed that. The staff, the CEO and the staff are terrific. We've had some times when I've perhaps queried a couple of issues, but I think that the support we get from the staff, I'd reiterate Councillor Chowdhury's comments there. I think it's fantastic. Probably one of my regrets when I think about it is, do you know what, in the time that I've been on council, I don't think I've ever had to declare a conflict of interest. Does that show that I'm a bit insular or something? I don't know. I don't think that's. I think I'll have to work on that. One of the a really positive thing, and look, I really was proud to be a councillor and to be proud of the Dubbo Regional Council, and particularly to be proud of Dubbo was. Last weekend, I went to, as I know, Councillor Goff was there too, to the start of the Variety Club Burke to Burketown Bash. It was the Sunday morning, 8 o'clock. At Taronga Park, Western Plains Zoo car park, 60, nearly 70 cars, variety cars, about 200 or 300 drivers, support crew and officials. And it was a magical morning. The setting was fantastic and the whole place buzzed. And I just thought, gee, it was fantastic. It was their 40th anniversary. They chose Dubbo to be the assembly point and then move off. I think they were going to, it was Sunday, they were going up to Canamble Public School because they'd brought the kids in to meet them as they went through. And everyone was just so blown away with the whole location out there, the whole setup with the Dubbo area and with Dubbo, with the Taronga Park, Western Plains Zoo in particular. This organisation, I mean, we all know about the Variety Club and the Bash, but you know what? Over the last 40 years, they have raised and donated back to needy kids $200 million, you know, over 40 years. That's not just, you know, a little tin pot operation. It is a major operation. And as I say, to be able to stand there and say, I'm part of the Dubbo Regional Council, I was really quite proud to do it. So it was fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ivey. Councillor Wells.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Oh my gosh. What a journey it's been for the last 2 years and 9 months. Like my councillor colleagues here, I absolutely wish to thank the directors and the CEO, the executive, the staff, and everybody for helping me on my journey through the last 2 years and 9 months. It's been like a bit of turmoil, learning things. I give a bit of a shout out to the new people coming on board that not to be scared, but brace yourself because there's a lot to learn. But it's really necessary. I have to say, I've been asked many times about, do you enjoy, like Councillor Ivey said, do you enjoy your time on council? And I've absolutely said, yes, I do, because I've learnt so much that I never knew about before. I've thrown my hat in the ring to go again, like many of us here, and I too want to echo Councillor Goff's advice to let's be kind to one another. I'm all about respect, and I think that we should do that regardless of whatever position we're taking. I too want to thank the exiting councillors. You know, we don't know if we're going to be here, those that did nominate again, but I've enjoyed the term with working with Councillor Etheridge, my brother, Councillor Burns, Councillor Mann, and so on. And I think it's been a real good journey getting to know all these new people that I never knew before until I came onto council. So I think it's really, I think I want to really encourage those that have nominated and obviously say congratulations because they've made it through the nomination process, which is difficult on its own. My gosh. So if you're going to nominate in the next 4 years, be ready to have everything, all your ducks in a row. But the next, the next term for those that get on, I hope that they get from council what I got, and that was a great deal of learnings, a lot of friendships I think made. We've had a lot of turnover in our executive, And I think just watching the process of the committees, I don't get to go to all the committees, but there's ones that I've been able to sit on. There's been really positive outcomes, and hopefully we can reinvigorate them, or whoever is on the next term can reinvigorate them. I do want to mention though that one thing that I am proud of, and that's that I specifically came on board thinking that I had to bring a cultural lens, and that's what I think I did. So I think that I was able to share some cultural insights around myself as a traditional custodian and my brother, Councillor Burns, as a traditional custodian. And I think that what we wanted to see was that this council actually looked at their thinking about, considering First Nations people in all of their thinking and decision making. And I think we achieved that. And that's going to be around for quite some time, knowing that this room that we're standing in and the other rooms have all been named with Wiradjuri language, and that was something that I think I would take away as being proud of, and the things that we didn't actually make the decision for this term, but we had input into, and that's the Wiradjuri Aboriginal Cultural Centre, and I think the fact that we got funding for that to get it up and going is really exciting. We've just got to wait for the next step. So I didn't want to take too long, but I am really, really thankful that I got the opportunity to be a councillor, and I just wanted to mention that when I sit with my colleagues in my workplace in Sydney at a different level, and they found out that I was on local council, and the question from some of them was, did your community elect you? And I was like, yes, they did. So we are here for the community, and we all need to remember that we're the community voice. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wells. So I will take a little bit of time now because I actually want to go around and thank each of you individually for your time on council. This was supposed to be our last meeting, our 35th council meeting on this term of council. Obviously, we will have one more, but that will be, I'm promised, a very short lunchtime meeting. So I suppose the best way to do this, I put some thoughts together this afternoon about each of you. So I'll just go and thank you, each of you individually. So I'll go back around the opposite order that I came. So Pam, I think you've been a very thoughtful, insightful and respectful member of our council, always considering the needs of all community members, not just, but including our Aboriginal population. Your attitude has allowed you to make bold and courageous decisions, and your kindness and warmth have made you a respected figure within our council and the broader community. Your first motion, if you remember it, focused on playground strategy, and that set the stage for your commitment to creating inclusive and accessible spaces for all. Your dedication to making our community more inclusive and thoughtful has been truly inspiring, and I'm certainly grateful, and the community's been grateful for your contributions. Best of luck on the 14th of September. Thank you. Richard, so only 2 people, Richard, made it to every council meeting, every one of those 35 council meetings, and you were one of those 2 people. And 2 councillors also brought forward 11 successful notices of motion, and you're one of those that brought forward. Not that it's a counting contest for those, but I thought that was quite fascinating, the number that you brought through that was successful. Your attention to detail and dedication to thoroughness have been invaluable to our council. Your ability to cut through bureaucratic talk, nothing personal here, and focus on common sense solutions has been refreshing and much needed. As Deputy Mayor, you've been an invaluable sounding board for me personally, offering wise counsel and a steady hand. Your financial acumen has been instrumental in guiding our decisions, ensuring that we remain fiscally responsible. Your initiative at our very first meeting to create a range of community committees has been a resounding success, fostering greater engagement and collaboration. Your contributions have been significant, and we're all grateful for your leadership and insight. Thank you. Jess, you brought a fresh and dynamic perspective to our council, viewing issues through the lens of a younger person and a female perspective. Your connection with your community, particularly through your business clients, has ensured the voices of Wellington residents are heard loud and clear. You've been a tireless advocate for better policing in Wellington, pushing the state government to deliver on this crucial issue. Your focus on practical solutions, such as lighting audits and park benches, demonstrates your commitment to enhancing everyday lives of our residents. Jess, your energy and dedication have been inspiring, and your contributions have made a real difference. And good luck to you on the 14th of September. I didn't say that to you, Richard. Sorry. Good luck to you as well on the 14th of September. Josh, you brought a distinct political perspective to our council, staying true to your core ALP roots while engaging effectively with your broader community, particularly through social media. Your passion for correcting past mistakes was evident, and you mentioned it a moment ago in your initial motion on the Regan Park Master Plan, an excellent concept that has helped guide our planning and development efforts. You focused on federal election funding opportunities, tree preservation, and ensuring responsible governance. And of course, your light-hearted approach to your self-proclaimed popular comment section often provided some mirth at the end of a long meeting. Josh, your dedication to representing your dedicated group of constituents has been greatly appreciated, and I wish you the best of luck on the 14th of September. Shibley, you've been a compassionate, sorry, and you were the other one with 11, Shibley, Councillor Chowdhury, 11 successful notices of motion through your term of council, not that we're counting. You've been a compassionate and thoughtful voice on our council, bringing forward the views of many in the migrant community in particular, but again, not limited to that community. Your unique lens, shaped by your experience of being born in Bangladesh and settling in Australia, has enriched our discussions and decisions. Your caring nature and sensitivity in decision-making have ensured that all voices are heard, particularly those from diverse backgrounds. Your push to develop a multicultural park is just one example of your vision for a more inclusive community. From working on our aquatic leisure centres to championing Dubbo's Christmas campaign, your contributions have been wide-ranging and impactful. Thank you for your dedication to making our community a better place for all. And again, best of luck on the 14th of September. Councillor Etheridge, you were the only returning councillor from the last Dubbo Regional Council. And of course, you've been a strong advocate for community voices on our council. Your focus on action, particularly in the beautification of neighbourhood shopping centres, has left a lasting impact. Your initial motion on this very topic set the tone for your tenure, showcasing your commitment to enhancing the daily lives of our residents. Your work has not only beautified our surroundings, but also fostered a sense of pride and ownership within our communities. Your dedication to improving our neighbourhoods has made a tangible difference, and we're all grateful for your contributions. It's a shame to see you're not standing on the 14th of September, but thank you for your contributions over many years, both in Dubbo and Warren, and I wish you the best of luck. And of course, the doors here are always open to a former councillor. Councillor Wright, your business acumen and innovative approaches have been tremendous assets to our council. Your many connections within the community, combined with your experience as the former president of the Dubbo Business Chamber, have provided invaluable insights into the needs of our local businesses and residents. Your focus on accelerating housing supply in Dubbo and updating the transportation strategy have been critical in addressing some of our region's most pressing challenges. Your genuine and down-to-earth nature have made you a pleasure to work with. Matt, your contributions have been significant, and we thank you for your unwavering commitment to our community. Best of luck for you as well on the 14th of September. And I know that Councillor Mann and Councillor Burns are not here, but I will read out something that I've written for both of those as well. Councillor Mann has brought a financial perspective to our council, informed by his extensive business experience. His past involvement with Rotary and current involvement with Rotary has given him a unique perspective on community service and engagement. Councillor Mann's introduction of dashboard reporting has been a game changer, providing councillors in the community with greater transparency and insight into our operations. His focus on water smart messaging at the very beginning and service review programs ensure that our resources are managed effectively and sustainably. I thank Councillor Mann for his practical approach and commitment to excellence, which has made a lasting impact, and I thank him for his contributions. And again, ashamed to see Councillor Mann not standing at the next election because his experience and acumen will be missed. And for Councillor Burns, having the views of two traditional owners on our council has been invaluable, and Councillor Burns has exemplified this role with great dignity and purpose. His deep connection with the Aboriginal community has brought forward perspectives that are not only essential, but enriching to our decision-making process. Councillor Burns takes a minimalist, no-fuss attitude to his debating, which has been refreshing, allowing us to focus on the core issues without unnecessary distractions. His initial motion on collaboration with other councils marked a significant step forward, fostering alliances that continue to benefit our region, and his commitment to the repatriation of the axe grinding groove rock is a testament to his dedication to preserving cultural heritage. I thank Councillor Burns for his unwavering commitment and contributions. And of course, it all goes without saying that I have to thank Murray, CEO, and your staff. On behalf of all councillors, thank you for the professionalism shown by yourself and all your staff, the skill and the dedication that you all bring to your jobs. I'm sure it can sometimes be frustrating having to follow through with the resolution of councillors when staff members may not personally agree with the decision, but not once have I witnessed anything but a dedication to carry out the full intent of the resolutions of council. Council works best when councillors and staff work in tandem with respect. We don't have to always agree, but once a decision was made, I always had total confidence that the actions from your staff would be undertaken. Thank you for your relationship with myself personally and for all councillors and your ongoing dedication to Dubbo. That's all from me, councillors. Over and out from that. Again, we've got 7 councillors standing. I hope that all 7 councillors are back here come the beginning of October, and best of luck to all councillors standing again. And whatever happens, there'll be at least 4 new councillors to be welcomed into the family, whatever that family might look like from Dubbo Regional Council perspective. Now, under Section 10A of the Local Government Act, the next items being CCL 24/221, 222, 223, 224, 225 and 226 have been identified as likely to be discussed in a closed session of Council. Can I now have someone move us into confidential session? Thank you, Councillor Chowdhury, seconded by Councillor Wells. We've had no applications from members of the public to make their representations regarding whether the meeting should be closed to the public. I have no members left in the public gallery now. They've all left before we got too soppy with each other. So any questions or debate, councillors? Being none, I put that. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. I now declare that we will move into confidential session. Stream will now be turned off. Any members of the public will be asked to leave the chamber. The chamber will be reopened and the live stream restarted after deliberations on these matters with the resolution to be made public. Please. Thank you. We're back on. The council has returned to session, open session at 7:34 p.m. Welcome back. We'll go through the following slides for the motions from the closed session of council. If I can just have the first one up, please. CCL 24/221 draft planning agreement from Sandy Creek Solar Farm as per the screen. Move on to the next one, please. CCL 24/222 quotation for the supply and delivery of 2 6x4 road maintenance trucks, again as per the motion on the screen. And the next one, CCL 24/223 Saxon Road Coombilla Crossing Replacement Project land acquisition, once again as per the resolution on the screen. And the next one, please. CCL 24/224 construction of new River Street West Collector Road Stage 1 tender recommendation, again as per the resolution on the screen. CCL 24/225 Dubbo Regional Airport Security Screening tender, awarded as per the resolution on the screen. And CCL 24/226 Macquarie River Event Precinct construction tender. There are no further items for consideration of the ordinary council meeting. I declare the meeting closed, the time being 7:35 p.m. Web streaming is now being completed. Thank you for your attendance.